Hello guys. Right. There is simply too much shit to ban in this goddamn game at the moment.
Select your god.
I'm not even sure what to pick. Suppose I'll do a Thor game. A dodge? Already? Whoa. But also that's fine. The second I locked in Thor, I realized I didn't actually feel like playing Thor. So I don't actually mind it for once. I'm seeing on the side that I am in the jungle. Get me out of this role, I will honestly play anything else. Oh no, man. Get me out of this role, please. This guy isn't trading. Hey, Meyer, thank you so much for the raid, man. Hope you had a good stream.
Select your god.
Dude, this guy isn't trading. Don't make me jungle to the start of this stream. It's gonna be a bad fucking start. I'll pick something that works in both lanes then. Hello, Nate. The comp they have. Oh no, man. Get me out of jungle. I don't want to be here. Dude, what? Honestly, Danik, my dude, just dodge. You're AFK anyway. You don't want to trade. Fair enough. Let's just get out, please. At this point, I know my hope. Alright, I'm cooked. I'm gone. It's over. And of all things, my dude locked in the Baron. I might go tanky this game, I'm not gonna lie to you. I might do a tanky Aladdin game. Because their comp is absolute nightmare. And I will never be able to fight into it. Unless I hit full late game Aladdin, then yeah, obviously, sure, but it's not fucking easy to get that shit in ranked. And I'm jungle! I don't play jungle. Well, on the bright side of things, at least it couldn't start any worse. My jungle is so bad. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I play streaming games in between, but that's partly because I am streaming and I don't want to just look at, you know, the queue counting up.
Oh, yeah.
Especially because sometimes the queues can go past 10 minutes if you're unlucky. So, on my own time, I just watch something on the monitor. But if I'm streaming, I would like there to still be something to look at. Otherwise,
Greetings.
I think it gets pretty
Salvation
boring.
awaits us blessed with good fortune.
This smells like a beach game. Do I do... I think I should go for physical Aladdin in this game. Question is, what do I build if I go physical Aladdin? Because I have no idea. It is indeed motored mid as well. For some reason. Oh yeah, I need to start on blue.
Minions have spawned. Okay.
I want to try some more physical Aladdin as well. I haven't really done it much. But I do think it's a lot better since it got buffed last patch. I shouldn't have used an ability here. Saved it for red. Physical Aladdin better than magical? I'm not too sure actually, because I haven't tried it myself much. I think it's more a question of... oh, well, that sucks.
That's just awful.
She needs level 2. I mean, with this being a Mordred, we can't really fight into this. It's just a way better level 2. Fucking Mordred mid. I mean, how the fuck are we supposed to fight into that shit? I can't believe I had to use my wish for this, but I refuse to die early.
Your left tower is under attack.
Glory and you have that spark of magic in you. Recall.
Double kill. Your right tower is under attack.
Recall.
Not the most useful chase I went with there. Should have just gone to do my buffs.
Be right back.
Granted, what I wanted to try was more of a tanky Aladdin, still going physical, and not jungle, because jungle is by far my least played role and I hate it. I tried to escape. No one wanted to trade. My only solace is that this is at least like a lower reload game. What's my rank? I am, I'm actually not too sure where I am exactly now. I haven't checked in a while, but I am beyond 5k SR. Somewhere in between. I don't know if I am deity, but I am demigod. I'm in solo.
Your middle tower is under attack.
You hammered. This could be good.
Killing spree.
There is in fact a Mordred that I cannot help out with.
To me, Genie.
Neath ult. Oh, he doesn't have ult.
Your left
That sucks,
tower
man.
is under attack.
The troubles of early game Aladdin, you just don't really do a whole lot of damage. But oh well. Or just stop playing Combat Smite 1. I just didn't really feel like it anymore. I got tired of it. And I've always been the kind of person who I just can't do something I don't enjoy. I would rather stop. Like, while the money was good and all that stuff, it just doesn't matter to me. It's not fun. Let me pause him. Okay.
Damn it. Help.
I do think my main issue with jungle, though, compared to most other roles, is that it's so high. Like, there's always something you need to do. I think that's probably my main problem with it. There's no breaks. I feel like I just get overstimulated when I play jungle. Hey, what's up, Bobby? Like, support is easier in that you don't have to keep farming while you're in the jungle. Like, you just kind of leech lanes and stuff. It's not as high maintenance as jungle. You have to just keep doing buffs and just clearing the jungle. Invading, maybe. Making sure that you're ganking in case someone needs help. You know, it's just... You need that observation to the max. Yeah, I see you, Mordred. You can kindly fuck off.
Your right tower is under attack. An enemy has been slain. Into the battle. An enemy has been slain.
Did I even get the assist for that, actually? I don't think I did. It's more shit. He was in my lamp. Alright, it's just back.
Then we will strike back. Glory and honor.
Also, my build will not be planned. I'm just gonna go for whatever items I know are good. And that will be it. I do not know what the hell I'm supposed to be building on a physical item.
To me, Genie.
It's also the first time in my life I'm leveling my 2 over my 1. Bit unfortunate timing.
Slain an enemy.
Yes. To me, Genie.
Thanks.
On my way.
An enemy has been slain.
Enemies incoming.
Enemies incoming.
Enemies incoming.
Enemy spotted. Right.
Pierce the darkness. Take flight.
Slain an enemy.
I'm getting killed slowly, but my damage definitely feels low.
Record.
Yeah, I'll definitely go Hydras next. I just wanted some cooldown early. And I wasn't sure if I should go Jotuns or Degokage.
An ally has been slain.
Like, I'm still behind Pele, man. Fucking hell.
To me, Genie.
An enemy has been slain. Killing spree. Your left tower is under attack.
Record.
Stop CTing me, Bracken. I hate you.
An ally has been slain.
Bracken will actually just CC you for about 3 seconds at a time.
Recall.
Yeah, I do think in the Latin is better as well, and I do prefer it too. I just decided to try this. I've never tried it before, so one time's gotta be the first.
Your left tower is under attack.
I mean, I'm solo. It's not like I played that much Aladdin, but I played him a lot when he came out. And I definitely do think he was better as int for the most part. So this is the first time where they like tweaked his scaling with strength. So I decided to try it out. And since I'm jungle, why not just now? You know.
War here.
This guy's low. Don't think he's actually gonna be here anymore though.
Enemies incoming.
Yes.
Tower vanished. On my way.
Enemy missile left.
Double kill.
Okay. Greetings.
To me, Genie.
Slain an enemy. Double kill. Rampage.
Nice job. I must slip away quickly on my way.
No man, I was just out of range because he was right below me. Fuck.
Has been
What a
slain.
blunder.
That sucks.
An enemy has been slain.
The dash cannot hit right below it. So that, of course that's where he was. Unfortunate.
I'm on my way.
You think it's better now anyway? Yeah, I wanted to try it for that reason too after they buffed it. Oh, huge. Oh, unfortunate. Surely she dies. She doesn't die. That sucks.
Your left tower is under attack.
What a blunder.
I just don't know what to build on him. So feel free to let me know. Like Oathsworn, probably decent. Like what am I supposed to build? I probably should have went Transcendence a bit earlier. I think it's too late now.
Your left tower is under attack. Your right tower is under attack.
Follow them, Genie. Recall.
Your right tower is under
I don't know where
attack.
he went.
On my
Enemy
way.
missile left.
It's a bit too close. My beast didn't go up in time.
Is under attack.
Recall.
I'm dead.
Killing
sucks Cupid was there.
has been slain.
We need some wards on the fucking map.
We need war.
That's not right.
I'm on my way.
Just show presence. Huge.
The enemy team has destroyed the Gold Fury.
What a blunder.
And the tornadoes are on the map now.
This will not do.
Is Titans gonna be needed? Even, I mean, I guess in this game I probably would, because they have fucking 4-man frontline basically, motion mid. But is it normally needed even if you have Oath Sworn?
An ally has been slain.
Enemy ultimate down.
Aww.
Has been slain.
They're low, or he's low. Okay, Bracken still never died. That is fucking tragic. Dude, how did this fight go so badly? We definitely do need some more wards though. Titans is very strong. Yeah, I guess so. I mean, can I just buy it instead of Oathsworn? Is Oathsworn even worth it? I need to stop being so careless now. Okay.
Killing spree. Your middle tower is under attack. Your middle tower is under attack.
And water's on me. I mean, I'm just dying on cooldown now. That time I didn't even really want to go in. Shit. I need to just farm. I'm too fucking look far behind.
The enemy team has destroyed the pirate. An enemy has been slain. Your left tower has been destroyed. Your left tower is under attack.
I don't know why he went in. Just don't go in, man. Brother just jumped in.
For me.
I'll rotate if I see it could be a good fight, but for now I'm just gonna AFK farm.
Has been slain. Rampage.
Still though, I'm not sure why we're trying to fight these fights.
Double kill. Your middle tower has been destroyed.
Glory and honor.
Record.
Enemies at the fire giant.
To me, Genie.
The enemy team has destroyed the fire. Your right tower is under attack.
I tried to take it. Overall, good fight.
Your team has destroyed a middle enemy tower.
Attack the Gold Fury. Enemy incoming.
The pyro has arrived.
To me! Enemies incoming! To me, Jimmy! Retreat! Retreat!
Death or everyone just closing in on us. Such a bad idea for to do this. Still, though, we don't want to just give it for free here.
To me! Help right lane!
I bid you goodbye.
An ally has been slain.
Enemy ultimate down!
Recall!
An enemy has been slain.
Can't even do anything to help.
Recall!
I do wish it was intelligence, because my one does not do a lot of damage.
Your middle tower is under attack.
To me, Genie!
Be careful.
Your middle tower is under attack.
Damn. Would have liked to sneak one last kill in there.
To me, Genie! To me!
Your right tower is under attack.
Recall!
You have been slain.
This way, quick!
Dude, where's Hercules?
Excellent.
Just join the lamp, man. I did think I was gonna do more damage to him, though.
Okay.
Dude, Hercules is so confused. What is he running around doing, man? Oh, well, I did fuck up there. I can't really blame Herc fully for that, but he should die if anyone else comes into the lamp. They're somehow not on fire yet, though.
Has been slain. Your team has destroyed a right enemy tower.
Man, of course I lost my speed. Yeah, they're just all going right. Dude, why are they just doing objectives?
Enemies behind us.
Glory and honor!
This will not do.
On my way.
Thor is so out of position for this. Like he should
The
honestly
enemy
just die.
team has destroyed the gold. Your right tower is under attack.
Oh, that is so tragic.
Melting again.
Attack fire giant.
We need wards.
We need wards.
I'm on my way.
Glory.
Oh, Baron is. Oh no, Baron is full mage as well. Shit. So we really only have a Hercules as a front line.
Group up.
Ta-da!
Be careful.
Banish the shadows.
Dude, I don't even. My jump completely glitched out because the Cabragan wall.
Double kill.
Until next time.
Rampage.
What the hell, man? I don't even know how everyone else died too. That was some horse shit that it glitched out like that.
Your middle tower is under attack. Your middle tower has been destroyed.
Farewell.
Hello, Pope.
Your titan is under attack.
Yeah, I've had a pretty good day. I've had a nice day so far. A bit of a not great start to my my ranked experience here. I actually could have revived, I just realized, but I don't think I could have stopped him from ending anyway. So, whatever. I forgot.
Defeat.
Hello, Okami. I just started pretty much, so. It's only been like 38 minutes. And I started out this jungle, which is very unfun. Yes, thank you. Let's see. Can I finish this up? Also, I can check my SR real fast for the few people that have asked. Let's see, where are we at? 5.3. Hopefully I get my role this time though. So I don't have to force myself to pick Aladdin in jungle. Granted, I think I could have done better with some other gods. I just need to pick the brain dead ones, like Fenrir and Thor. And a Wheelix. It's high. I would like it to be a bit higher though. I need 200 more to reach the highest rank, so I would like that. Even though it doesn't really show it. It's not like I think I played bad per se, in the grand scheme of things in that game, but maybe I'll play Afro actually. Span Cabrakan. I think I played bad mechanically though. I think I can play a lot better than that. And I do think my build was ass, because I felt like I did no damage. Could also maybe do Bari. I don't want to play Bari solo right now though. Let's see if they ban it. Shit! They did! No! I was gonna pick Afro. Damn it! Now I don't know what to pick! Maybe I just do it again. I'll do it again. This time I will build correctly though. Unless, it depends on what I'm against actually. If I meet something that is just terrible in terms of matchups, I might want to try the tank Aladdin that I've been thinking about. Which I don't think is that good, by the way. But more of a just for fun thing. It might be okay. I think you could do tank anything if you want. Just tank items are pretty good at the moment. And Aladdin has a decent kit as a tank. You can initiate with a dash, or like the wall jump. You have the ultimate for baiting as well, or just to catch out a target. I think it could work. But as I said, I don't think it's gonna be, like, either way it won't be that good. Especially comparatively to just how good he is when you build him damage. I am against the Wheelix though. I think I might just go for tank and try it out this game. I don't know why we have Thor mid though. Yeah, I can play Aladdin against the Wheelix. That's fine. I think I'll just build a bit tanky. If she really wants to pull me off the wall, I'll make sure that it won't be worth it. Take Fenrir to Wilkes rank yesterday, my team was questioning me. Yeah, I mean, it is not a great idea on paper to pick either Aladdin or like Fenrir or Uller or whatever, something that is just very easy for a Wilkes to deal with. I think on her you can probably think about, because I think he has good stealth appeal. He can definitely still work. You just have to be careful when you jump.
Aladdin.
Dude, what am I against? What, Vulcan? Agni? Dude, they have Merlin, Vulcan, Agni. They have 3 mages. What is this? If I decide to go tank, I can't build all the good items. Mystical May's ass here. I actually hope I'm not against the Wheelix, because that would be so annoying. That's the worst thing I could meet on that team. Because I don't want to build physical defense now. The only physical defense I might build if I go tank is going to be something like Pridwen. That's like mixed protections. Yeah, I mean, in that team Okami, you also had bots on your team. That's also generally not considered a good pick against the Wheelix, so it definitely still can work. Like, a Wheelix won't always, like, ult someone who is jumping, or, you know, situationally, like, it depends. Like, on paper, there'll always be something that's going to be better on paper, that it doesn't mean outplaying can happen. Can definitely still outplay. Actually, maybe what I just do is I go for a Magi's in the middle of my build. I think I'll do that. Get a Magi's in the middle, just so that Willis can't plug me off the wall. She'll just grab my Magi's then.
May luck find you well.
Alright, we need to pause for Thor. Well, Ed, is this your promo or what? Is there a reason why we need to get this W? How much should I be tryharding, Ed? Alright, fair enough. Yeah, I'll probably int. Don't int, man. I need a win after my last game. Tryhard your ass off. I don't want to lose again. Though, to be fair, the combat I dealt with last game was so boring. That fucking Thor, Cabrakan, and Mordred. Frontline, like, what the fuck, man? And no mage. Like, what am I supposed to go on? What do you mean the Cupid is the only one? He's just gonna ult me. That was just a really, really shitty Aladdin game.
Thanks! But you're hotter than a fireside mug of cocoa!
That was genius.
Thanks.
Minions have
Completed.
spawned.
Vulcan.
Yo, Aladdin, push up, because I'm not gonna let Agni, like, play up. I'm gonna push on the Awilix on the mid camp.
I have no idea what he just said.
I'll attack!
Okay.
To me, Genie.
Be careful.
Enemy missing right.
You exceed my calculations.
Recall.
You gonna throw your meatball? Yeah, keep chasing me. Lose your wave. We'll see who this is gonna be worth it for.
Take this jungle.
An
ally has been slain.
Recall. Right.
I got my rocks as well. Only thing that sucks now is that I don't have any pots left into a Vulcan, who's just gonna keep meatballing me.
Come on then.
Be careful left.
An ally has been slain. Your right tower is under attack.
Wait, is that an Aladdin ADC? Or not Aladdin, Merlin. Interesting. They have a very strange comp. Their comp is absolutely horrible when it comes to objectives. Though they have good secure with a Vulcan.
Recall. Come on then.
Your middle tower is under attack.
Yeah, I think they did a great job with Aladdin in general. It's a very, very cool god. Even though he's not a god.
An enemy has
Didn't think it mattered a lot though.
Enemy spotted.
On my way. Ultimate is ready.
Set up an ambush here. No big deal.
Enemy ultimate down.
Recall.
An ally has been slain.
Enemy ultimate down.
Okay. To me, Genie.
An enemy has been slain. Well, no fight. Your middle tower is under attack. An ally has been slain. Woohoo!
To me, Genie.
Enemies at the enemy ultimate tower. An ally has been slain. Your middle tower is under attack. Your right tower is under attack.
Enemy missing right. Recall.
Just back. Actually, no, I don't want to back. I'm gonna lose too many creeps if I do.
Well, no fight.
Just do that.
An enemy has nice job, I guess. But who's counting anyway?
Let's just go into Poly, get that over with. Probably going to need Spear of Deso as well, because I'm not going
Your
Book of
middle
Thoth for
tower
once.
is under attack.
Wasn't really planning on just trying random builds on Aladdin today, but I guess I'm doing that. I do think in general though all the new gods in Smite 2 have pretty good designs. I think Aladdin's is kind of peak though, but I also absolutely love Mordred even more obviously after they gave him some more necessary tools. I think Akate is super fun.
Enemies behind us.
Man, I missed.
Enemy ultimate down.
Your left tower is under attack. Your middle tower is under attack.
I forgot we had Thor mid. I got so confused when he just took red, knowing that we had to summon jungle.
Your right tower is under attack.
Gank left lane.
On my way.
Wall running does feel really nice, yeah, when it, yeah, as you say, when it works. Because that shit does not always work. That's just so ping dependent. It feels like absolute ass when it doesn't.
Okay. Set up an ambush here. Okay.
Enemy missing right.
Out of mana. Be right back.
To me.
An enemy has been slain.
Dude, the fucking wall running also just lives his own fucking life sometimes. What was that?
Your right tower is under attack.
Enemy spotted. Help.
On my way.
On my way.
Recall.
An enemy has been slain.
You have
Your
the
right
spark of
tower
magic.
is under attack.
Recall.
Gilgamesh in general I think would have just been very good in Smite 2. I actually think the same thing with Amana. Like the constant braggy skins and then just full tank meta has been it's literally perfect for Amana, man. I've been thinking about it so much. Where is he? Iris, why are you keeping prisoner from me? Give me him back. I need him. I need the weird looking baby.
Left lane. Defend middle lane. Attack the minions.
I'm also looking forward to Sun Wukong, yeah, he's super fun too. In terms of warriors, I think Vamana and Sun Wukong are the last two I'm looking forward to. Like, Apollo is just generally one of my favorites.
Your left tower is under attack.
So, and he should come relatively soon. Like, obviously not in the near future. Or like in the next 3 or 4. But I think it's like the 5th or something like that. Something like that. Something like that. Maybe.
An ally has been slain.
On my way.
Double kill.
Behind us, attack!
You have slain an enemy. Your right tower is under attack.
Pummel them.
Be careful, middle.
Snowflake. Snowflake.
Record.
All right, fine.
Guan is coming soon as well. I'm also looking forward to that. Wouldn't Vamana struggle to stick to people even more as the smart one? After they I don't know, not necessarily. It also depends on what +1 they give him. But I don't really think so necessarily. Like, he has tools to help him.
Your right tower is under attack.
Record.
Like, there's no Frostbound, but
Your middle tower is
besides from Frostbound, like, he still has the 3 to slow, and I think I don't know. He's just a good auto attacker. I think the items would be good enough for him. Would he be the best? Probably not. No, but I do think he would be really good.
killing spree. Your left tower is under attack.
Could have played that a little bit better.
Been slain. Double kill.
God.
Shut down.
Pummel them.
Your left tower is under attack. Killing
Slip
spree.
away quickly.
I don't like my odds.
That sucks. Thought I was gonna at least be able to kill the. I should just use my power wish, but I got a bit scared when I got too low. I didn't want to waste it again. Oh well. He could also just build Stampede. Vamana is just the thing is obviously right now it's just a tank meta, and Vamana is one of those cards that are just good at sticking to people for the most part. Even if you're not auto attacking them, you can still just stick to them. Your 1 is very good. You have a slow. Potentially just the ultimate, and then you have stuff like Pridwin. You would probably build Pridwin on anything frontline right now, even Vamana, who would you probably never do that on this Smite 1, just because of how good it is at the moment. And like a cooldown based Vamana, I never thought that was a bad thing. I like it. I usually did it. You just spam abilities. Granted, that doesn't fit his ultimate very well.
Enemy missing left.
Still don't think it's that bad though.
Okay.
And it was very good for lane pressure.
Enemy missing right.
Okay.
Record. On my way.
Enemy missing left.
Slain an enemy. An ally has been slain. Woohoo! Your middle tower is under attack. middle tower is under attack.
Yeah, we seem to have a little bit of an ADC problem in this one. Sol is not doing so hot.
She's building int on non-aspect soul, and you're telling me
Your
she's
middle
not the
tower
problem.
is under attack.
Okay, man. I played that pretty bad. I don't know how my 3 missed. I thought that shit was gonna hit. I don't want to start anything. Never mind.
Your left tower is under attack.
Together, girl.
Your left tower is under attack.
There's definitely a
Your
weird
middle tower is under attack.
problem in this game, and I can't really put a finger on it either.
Is under attack. An ally has been slain. Your left tower is under attack.
Retreat, let lane.
Just dealing with Vulcan of all things as well.
An ally has been slain. Your left tower is under attack.
I don't want anyone TPing actually. I think I'll just back. Yeah, you get up to 50. When they made that system, I was already like level, like above 50. So I just got them all at once, which is nice.
Okay. Retreat.
Retreat!
Your middle tower is under attack. An ally has been slain. An ally has been slain.
Solid as the earth, but
Killing spree.
Yeah, I don't know what Sal is doing, to be honest. She could just rotate.
Your middle tower has been destroyed. The enemy team has destroyed the Gold Fury.
Record. Power them, Jimmy. Ah, no worries. We can fix this. To me, Jimmy. Enemy spotted.
Enemy spotted.
To me, Genie. Recall.
Can the Wheelix actually pull off of the tornadoes? I don't know if it counts as like a jump. Yeah, I don't think so either. I haven't seen it. I was feeling with the inverse is, well, it's a bit different as well coming out of jungle.
Okay.
He does a lot of damage that I can't deal with right now. Well, maybe I could if I can actually fight back, but
Retreat!
not knowing where everyone else is a problem.
Hey, can we have some peace and
On my way.
quiet? An ally has been slain. An ally has been slain. Your middle Phoenix is under attack. Double kill. Triple kill. Killing spree.
Ah, that sucks, man. He hits that, we get him.
Attack.
Your right tower is under attack. Shut down. See you later. That's too bad indeed. Save yourself.
Ah, that kind of sucks, man. Just need a Thor to hit a bit more stuff there, and Jimoji dies way earlier.
To me, Genie. Recall. Recall. Tokens and things.
Oh yeah, back to you, Nate. I personally just like Int more, but again, I feel like coming out of jungle, you really want early damage, and you don't get early damage if you're building Int. You just don't. So I can see the argument maybe being obviously Int is better late, but I think physical or strength is just better early. I think it's just the nature of it.
Completed.
Cooler than an iceberg. An ally has been slain.
Gank right lane. Okay.
Enemy, your right tower is under attack.
To me, Genie.
It's my beats for that.
An ally has been slain. Your right tower is under attack. Double kill.
Oh, I feel like, I don't know, too many things were missed there. We absolutely should have just killed Vulcan straight away. I think I was just bad on both me and Ed. That solo did -5 damage. I'll go Soldier next. I also missed my ult. That was also bad. I shouldn't have missed it. I don't think it would have mattered a whole lot. Like, killing Vulcan would have been nice, but ultimately, what would it have done?
Tower is under attack. Your right tower has been destroyed.
Enemy spotted! On my way!
Your right tower is under attack.
Man, he's so low too.
Your right tower has been destroyed.
Like, someone please look at the salt, please.
Yeah, it was done. I had nothing. Did I actually use my power wish yet? I did. I'll just fucking revive here. Dude, this cell build is just all over the place.
Completed.
Dude, whatever just stopped me just absolutely cooked me. Vulcan should have been dead. Yeah, I don't think it matters, unfortunately, in this one. I don't.
Your middle phoenix has been destroyed. Your titan is under attack.
Rough start today.
Like a match.
Defeat.
More than once.
Maybe Aladdin is just my bad luck charm. Alright. I'll play a tank next. It's time for me to just sit back. Probably even easier to carry with tanks anyway right now. Yeah, jungle becomes more shitty when you really fall behind, because then everyone feels like they need farm, and they often just go to the jungle to then take it. It is tough. Yeah, don't worry about that. It is what it is. Like, I definitely do think solo was obviously the main issue for us in that game. Like, I'm not really too sure how you lose a Sol into Merlin. That seems like a pretty easy matchup for her. But it was, I mean, it was just a huge skill difference, you know? It happens. No, 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 no! Get me up! Oh my god. Why am I losing extra health for that? Wrong button. It's bad. Oh, yeah. Damn it. I just make sure that I get more momentum before I hit these. No. Ah. Okay. I need more momentum before the pits. Yeah, the challenge run's tough. Hits seem to be my natural enemy usually. I still don't know how you activate these things. I know it sounds silly, but when I have games, I always just think about myself, what I could do in the situation. Yeah, I tend to do the same thing. Like, I just focus on myself. Like, what can I do? My team is having a rough time on left. I'm just gonna see what can I do on the right side of the map. I mean, it still obviously sucks when you can just see that you're losing everywhere and you have absolutely no way to respond to it, or if it just starts, you know, being taken out on you. Like, the duel lane is super fed, they TP over, they kill you. Like, that shit like that obviously happens sometimes. It feels bad, but like, I don't want to lessen my humanity and start being mean to someone because they're having a bad game. I think that's where the problem becomes for me. I don't want to be mean, like, it's just a fucking game. Still, like, being frustrated is just a part of it. But taking out on someone else is just unnecessary. I will respond though, I will defend myself, but a lot of people will just very quickly get mad and blame someone else for shit that happens. I don't want to play it myself, I'll ban it. I'm gonna play a tank for once, I'm done. No more carries. You'll definitely find me getting frustrated at times. But I feel like that usually only really happens either if someone pushes the wrong button. I do have some buttons that shouldn't be pressed. I guess I'll just Sopek, whatever. Or if someone is just... When someone really blames someone else for a very obvious mistake they did, it depends on the situation, but sometimes that triggers the shit out of me. And I end up saying something. I try not to be mean though, I just try to be constructive. That doesn't usually work though. Once they're pissed. Nothing will stop them. And weird enough, I feel like that happens mostly to me in casuals. I feel like the most egotistical people are in casuals. Even though there's definitely still some people in ranked. But it's actually crazy how some people act in casual sometimes. I see, that's how they work. Gotcha. Oh, I have two of them. Oh shit. I think maybe there was streamers, but I also think it's just you might be good. Like you might be somewhat high level ranked, skilled, and then you go play casuals, and there's barely any resistance. So you build up this like weird egotistical mindset where you just think you're, you know, you get a little bit too confident, thinking you're better than basically everyone, or at least the vast majority. And that means you now have the right to trash talk people. That's the problem. This isn't just a Smite thing or like any other gaming thing. It's just it's human nature for some reason. So many people do this shit. So now you've gotten a lot of wins recently. So now you think you're better than everyone else. It's just a weird confidence boost that kind of can happen to anyone. Some more than others. But like we're all susceptible to a little overconfidence. We all just react in different ways. And some people just take it way too far. But the weird part for me happens when you're doing that in a casual. Where people are just literally just chilling and having fun. Not taking the game very serious. Like this is where you want to be confident. Like against the people trying the game for the first time. That's the weird part to me. Yeah, I'm done with carries for now, Okami. I'm gonna play some tanks. It doesn't matter how much damage I do on Aladdin, if my team still dies on the other side of the map. I'm putting my faith in the 50-50 that my team doesn't lose. Too hard at least. What am I against? I'm against on her. Okay. Okay. I also don't know how long my stream will be today, because I do have my SNL games to play later today. So I wanted to at least get a stream in, no matter how short it might be. I'll still go for like an hour or two, probably, but...
Minions have spawned.
I am just chilling today. They have an interesting comp. They don't actually have a tank.
Did you miss me?
I imagine on her and obviously the Hekate will be tanky though. But they don't have the same natural protection.
Let's keep the city safe.
That's his wave clear.
Enemy spotted.
Yeah, that took too much. And I missed my block. Oh well. Actually, I should have done that. The worst part is I lost blue now. I'm fucking so big. What the fuck, man? I should look at his build first. He has protection already.
Be careful left.
I'm gonna stop fucking around. I'm a little too chill, I think. I need this shit more than ever now. Like the fucking mana region. Yeah, I mean Hekate can definitely initiate for them. Granted, she needs a good ult for it. And if Honor's tanky enough, you can jump in, but still wouldn't recommend it in most cases.
Your left tower is under attack.
Yeah, well, hunters are scary, but in this early, I just shouldn't have done what I did. I'm not really that tanky yet. And he's an on her with whatever that thing's called. Death's Toll. And protection, so I generally will not win that trade unless I somehow outplay him. Which I did try to, hiding behind minions and such. He does have Sunder too. And then he's level 5.
Enemies in left lane. An enemy has been slain.
I just need Mystical Mail, that's about it. Then I'll be fine, and have fun in my lane once that happens.
An enemy has been slain. Completed. An enemy has been slain.
Radical.
What is 1800? 1950, okay. Yeah, Opal Topic is pretty cool. I like it the most. Just albino animals are pretty cool in general. Yeah, I expected as much.
Be right back.
Go.
An enemy has been slain. Good game. An ally has been slain. Killing spree.
Actually, I want to try something else. I want to try Shield Splitter. I want to throw axes. They don't really have shields, like Hekate's shield I suppose, but I'm not even sure if that counts on Shield Splitter, but... Aw. Okay, man. I think I'm fine, but... Why are you here?
Destroy. Spell their attacks.
Guess I'm losing my blue buff.
Your team has destroyed the gold fury. Beware the shifting sand. Your right tower is under attack.
Incoming light.
And manipulate.
okay, man. I didn't go in there wanting to die.
And manipulate.
Surely we get him though, right? Come on, Agni. Yeah, good. I'm sad I didn't get a single kill in there. I was really going for it. I even sundered to try and get one of those kills. But then Ares joined it.
Shut down. An enemy has been slain.
But I mean, Honor just went in and died again, so...
Enemy spotted.
See, if I don't play carries, my team will just win for me. No problem. But for some reason, when I pick hyper carries, my team just feeds their asses off, and then either I absolutely carry the shit out of the game, or I just lose. Which happened twice now.
Enemy missing middle.
Your middle tower is under attack. An enemy has been slain.
Just gotta wait for my Sunder to be up. Okay.
Enemy spotted.
What are you doing here? I guess I'm gonna stop invading their blue buff. Because for some reason there's an army waiting in the bush.
Your right tower is under attack.
Dude, she actually just lives her, the fucking Hecate.
Your right tower is under attack. An ally has been slain.
Okay.
Beware the shifting sand. Your right tower is under attack. Killing spree.
Okay. That's on me. I'm just feeding at this point. I'm just gonna sit in my bush. No more fighting for me, I guess.
Your middle tower is under attack. An enemy has been slain.
I think I'm making this a bit harder than I need to for my team. I'm just gonna chill.
Your right tower is under attack.
I just don't understand why Hecate lives here.
Enemies in right lane. Beware the shifting sands.
Fucking why is he here? I mean, we're just gonna gold now, I guess. That's good.
Your left tower is under attack. An enemy has been slain.
I am weak for.
Maybe I can get their blue this time. No, it is down. Oh, it just spawned.
On my way. Okay.
I accidentally took those by trying to jump. Actually, I think if I want to do this axe thing again, I gotta buy Pridman first, because the cooldown issue on Sobek is just so bad. Such long cooldowns, and he's got Pridman first. Just 300 to 400 more gold.
Your left tower is under attack.
It's nice for damage though. At least I have something extra to clear with. Why sensitive Bluestone? Because Bluestone is physical and it doesn't really scale with my abilities, and I kind of like spending abilities going into late game. It's more of a late game look at it.
Ultimate down. On my way. Enemy.
An enemy has been slain. Double kill. Rampage.
Their attacks.
Your left tower is under attack. An enemy has been slain. Triple kill. Your left tower has been destroyed.
Bluestone is mainly just for early game, I feel like. I don't know, just on Sobek it feels weird.
Enemy tower.
Fuel for the fire.
And once again, as I said before, cooldown on Sobek is just so valuable. I think Sobek is gonna like naturally struggle either way, no matter what you do in the early levels. He needs his 3 abilities online before he really does anything. But after that, I think like no matter what he has, he should be alright. I used to do Conduit for the same reason, just to get even better early game. But now I generally think Sands is just better. Because Conduit is kind of not the greatest upgrade that it has, especially on the front line. And Sands is just nice for the cooldown. So, even if it doesn't help the first few levels, it is just better later.
Unstoppable. The pyro
Damn, Anubis is not having a good time this game.
has been slain. Your left tower is under attack. Beware the shifting sands. An enemy has been
Go creeps! Get him! No, you shit creeps! And for some reason Hekate is here again. Dude, is this guy just babysitting? This is some wild babysitting you're doing here, Hekate.
Your team has destroyed the Gold Fury. An enemy has been slain.
Completed. Attack the gold. Attack the fire giant.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's definitely overall kind of bad game for me, but I also the amount of babysitting Hekate did this game was weird and unconventional, so it was a bit hard to expect. Yeah, in general it's good. Like right there, as long as you have a team that can take advantage of it, it is good. But I'm not sure I would generally expect that in ranked. Or I don't generally expect it in ranked. I expect that if I'm getting camped, nothing is happening as a result of it on the opposite side of the map. If it's like lower reload games. Like good players will, you know, like that game I guess, is gonna take advantage of it and just do gold. Or force a fight because they're one man down. And I was playing it kind of stupid. I could have just not gone up, because I still ran up even though I saw the Hekatsu multiple times. I could have just not done that. I was definitely playing it worse than I easily could have. This is a pretty big reload game though. So now I have to be a bit serious. Not play like an idiot. No.
Select your god.
What am I picking then? Man, Cabrakan is open. I have to pick it. Because I refuse to fucking play against it. This matchmaking is hilarious. Well, am I against you again, Cypri, or are you just talking about the last game? That definitely felt like a bit of a strange game overall. Yeah, I get you, Cypri. Happens to me as well sometimes, but I do feel like one person on your team, like the Onherm, it feels like a rename. I'm not sure who it is, but I'm pretty sure that's a rename. I feel like I recognized his voice, but I'm not sure. Did it just dodge? No, man. mean, are we gonna be against Asta and Calvin here? Because that sounds like it's gonna be tough. Jumper.
Your god.
Aphrodite, eh? Everything is kinda out. I'll do Cerberus. Wait, I've done this boss before. Did I take the wrong shard? Or is it different? I guess it is kinda different. Fuck. By kinda different, I mean there's huge lasers, and now there's a wave. Oh my god. Damn it. I mean, I should get a lot of value into their team comp at least. Like Cerberus against 2 healers. 3 healers if you can't Cupid. Guess I'll complete the shard. Who against? Go away, cutscene. It's Calvin and Nesta. Cupid solo though. I mean, that should be pretty easy for me on Cerberus. I'll do Sense again as well, for cooldown's sake.
How bad is it if I eat this now?
I haven't tried this on Cerberus though. It's gonna be Baron mid as well. From the looks of it.
Minions have spawned.
not doing the same mistake again.
Enemy spotted. Attack.
Which is dying at level 2
Enemy missing.
to an ADC.
Your left tower is under attack. An ally has been slain.
Should have gone with my jump though.
Attack.
What is this random team fight at level 2? What?
Okay.
Attack. An ally has been slain. Your left tower is under attack.
What the hell?
Enemy missing left. Cancel that.
Your right tower is under attack.
Oh, the little damage that I do as Cerberus.
Enemy spotted.
Your right tower is under attack. An enemy has been slain. Slain an enemy.
I'll take it.
An ally has been slain. Your right
Should have hit my
tower is
wave
under
though,
attack.
so I
Your
at least
left
would hit
tower
level
is
5.
under attack.
Because this isn't really that great for me. But we got his beats. Maybe I can kill him now. When I get my ult.
Your right tower is under attack.
Enemy spotted.
Terrific.
Your right tower is under attack.
The way that Skin says gang is so funny. Gang.
An enemy has been slain.
Yeah, that was a 4v4 level 2 fight. I don't know how that happened. And weirdly enough, the solo lane is probably what benefited the most out of that, because that means everyone else got zoned from their waves, while solo laners were just farming. It won't matter in the grand scheme of things, but still. Caught his jump. Or dash. Of course Loki was there too. Dude, this isn't a good fight for you. I was wondering how he was taking that. Mainly because he was tanking the wave. Wave does a fuck ton of damage these days in Smite 2. But at least I finally have Mystical Mail online. Now I go Pridwin. Solo is just so by the book now. It's a bit boring.
An ally has been slain. Killing spree.
Paladin, come on, can you ult? No?
Okay.
Афродита ульт, Барон ульт.
You have slain an enemy.
No one shares my glare.
An ally has been slain.
Didn't really have much.
That's too bad.
I should have gone to blue with him, so we could just do it. So that's on me. Still, I was afraid of the rotation.
Enemies incoming in the right jungle.
Terrific.
An enemy has been slain.
Enemy missing left.
Enemy missing right. Enemy ultimate incoming.
He's on the backs.
An ally has been slain. An enemy has been slain. You have slain an enemy.
Close.
I need to eat, to rest, to recover.
So happy my one did enough damage to kill. Never know it's my 2 at the moment. I think Neemin is worth picking up. He's 2 AC. Yes, absolutely. Neemin is good. It's a very good item. It's good even not against 2 ADCs. It's just good.
Gank middle lane.
If they have an ADC that is very auto attack based and has crit and all that nonsense, and you're also a pick that, you know, that wants to be in their face, like, you know, like Modred or Bellona or whatever like that, then yes. On someone like Cerberus, maybe not, because I'm not really planning on sitting on the ADC. I can't really kill the ADC that easily, so I would rather have other items.
An enemy has been slain. Killing spree. Killing spree. Shut down.
In all my years, I don't know.
Attack.
The only item I feel like you just need to go always is Pridwen. If you're playing a tank, you gotta go Pridwen. That shit's just... it's just too powerful. I'm not too sure about Mystic Chameleon support as well. I think that depends on the support, but I think you can definitely do that as well.
Enemy missing. Your middle tower is under attack. Defend the goal. Enemy missing. You have slain an enemy. Anytime.
I'm not sure why he's trying to fight me. At this point, he should know better. I'm gonna back before Loki shows up. In this matchup, though, because I'm playing Cerberus and there are two ADCs, as you pointed out, I think I will have to go for it because it's just too valuable. But I think if just one ADC, I probably wouldn't have done it in this game.
Thor, can you buy a flower?
An enemy has been slain. Your middle tower is under attack. Enemy missing middle. Enemy missing middle.
Enemy missing left.
Double kill. The pyro has arrived. Gold Fury.
No one evades my blast.
Damn, he just dashes in front of me like this.
Your team has destroyed a right in killing spree. Your team has destroyed the Gold Fury. Your middle tower is under attack. Killing spree. Your left tower is under attack. Your middle tower.
If he ever dashes and I'm running in front of him, he should just die. With everything that happened before this point, I would have expected him to probably know that.
Nothing gets past me.
We're in a matchup where I think the Cupid should definitely be able to fight. He's just not choosing the right moments.
Yes.
I'm a slow big target, so into the braggy skins, I could definitely struggle. That's his beats again.
Enemies in middle lane.
Gank middle lane.
On my way. Enemy spotted.
On my way.
Attack.
Your team has destroyed the pyroman. Your left tower is under attack. Shut down. Double kill.
That sucks. Could probably have killed him a bit easier as well. I just decided to run in front of the tower because I didn't want to lose the tower yet. Rather than chasing him down.
Your middle tower is under attack. Your right tower is under attack. Your middle tower is under attack.
Attack
Enemy
middle
missing
way.
right.
I'll attack. On my way.
Enemy missing right.
Slain an enemy. An enemy has been slain.
The gold fury.
Yes. On my way.
On my way. Defend left way.
Your left tower has been your left tower is under attack.
I'll keep it.
An enemy has been slain.
Very nice. I'll try shifters as well. Shifters is pretty good now, I think. There's a lot more value now that all the protection items were nerfed, but this wasn't. It just wasn't touched.
The Pyromancer has arrived. Your middle tower is under attack.
Yeah, why would you pick Cupid and Baron after someone picked Cerberus? Yeah, it's... I wouldn't do that either, personally. But I mean, people just play whatever they want, you know?
Attack. Attack the fire giant.
Enemy spotted.
Your team has destroyed a middle enemy tower. Enemy spot.
To me.
Enemies behind us. Enemy spotted.
Your team has destroyed the Pyromancer. An ally has been slain. Your right tower is under attack. Your right tower has been destroyed. Killing it.
The party's this way.
Slain an enemy.
Unfortunate. Just needed to wall him off there.
Giant.
tower is under attack.
Be right back. Be right back.
I think we should just back after that.
How bad if I eat this now?
Attack the gold fury.
The Pyromancer has arrived. Your team has destroyed the Gold Fury.
I really feel like the range is shorter in Smite too. I feel like that would have hit in Smite 1.
Be careful, middle.
Enemy missing.
I'll defend left lane. Attack right lane.
Okay.
Destroy the right. Your left tower is under attack. Killing it.
Come here, Genie.
That was just an ass.
Oh, the party has been slain. Ah, your team has destroyed the right. An enemy has been slain.
Get me out! Oh my god. I'm alive.
An enemy has been slain. An ally has been slain.
Yeah, we got to greedy for the kills. And we could have just ended. More rocks. I need more rocks. Oh man, the sun's hitting my screen now. It's gonna get real warm soon. I'm not a summer bird. Who the fuck did this? Oh, it must have been when Loki was here. I'm just not a summer person. When it gets real hot, expect a lot less streams, because I just cannot be asked to wear a headset. I'll probably just be gaming without a headset with a huge fan on my face. And both of those things are not really possible when I stream, because the fan is going to make too much noise. And obviously, as I said, the headset will be too warm.
Your team has destroyed the Pyromancer.
Attack the fire giant. Ow!
destroyed the fire giant. Zach left lane.
Yes. Be careful.
The enemy team has destroyed the Gold Fury. Your team has destroyed a left enemy tower.
All time.
It's time. Free your
Team has
soul
destroyed a left
to the
enemy.
others.
An enemy has been slain.
Ah!
An enemy has been slain.
Well done.
Until next time.
Victory.
Surprise is definitely fun, but as usual, I feel like the general problem I have with him is just that the one does no damage. The stun is obviously like pretty good though, but it's not like a secured stun, which is why it feels weird when the ability itself doesn't do that much damage. What the hell did I just hit? Did I just hit a chicken? Max energy, starting sparks. I guess starting sparks is pretty valuable. Item rarity, sure. Let's get a bit of everything. Let's get some permanent upgrades. Right. All of these stats. Right, I need a lot. Shit. Yeah, I think that's why a lot of people don't like playing jungle at the moment. Or at least some people I've seen be just unhappy with jungling in ranked. Because that is definitely just a part of the problem. It's also hard to balance, you know, because it's fine to take like one back camp here and there, but if everyone like does it at the same time, you're just screwing the jungler. And in rank, people don't really take note of all that stuff, like when you can and when you cannot take the jungle camps. Like sometimes I'll do a back camp on the way back to my lane, but that's a bad idea if the jungler doesn't have anything else to do. So yeah. I need to pick something magic. I'll do an Anubis game. Well, I guess I don't need to pick something magic. We did have a Morrigan. But I actually feel like playing Anubis as well. Unlocked items. Well, is this just... Oh, I see. It's just taking note of all the items I've seen. Alright. ice area. It's not a very vertical map so far. I feel like it's a bit hard to get momentum on this one compared to the other ones. It's a lot more, I guess, flat. Unless you go to the sides, actually. Well, definitely a beach game. If I've ever seen it. Man, I keep forgetting to swap the base skin on Anubis because I don't like this one. But I don't know why. I think it's just because back then when I put it on, it's just the only skin there was, or I had. Now I have better skins than this. Don't like the coloring. Pretty much the majority of the same people from the last game, with additions of April and Nico. And that Inferno guy. I still don't know who this is. I feel like this name just popped up. And it's gotta be a rename. It's not a legacy name at least.
Dark, deadly, and undeniably awesome.
I tried the early start, leaving early, see if I get the third creep. Didn't really work out. But I feel like I kind of fucked my jungler by doing that. Like, I don't know, it's such a weird start.
Be careful!
Overall, very, very strange start. And I don't really know how to pull it off.
Too bad, so sad. Be careful, right!
First blood. An ally has been
I guess thank God I'm playing Anubis, because Aspect Dancer with a million clones be so annoying to deal with on single target gods.
Be careful left.
Go away, dude.
Okay.
An ally has been slain.
It's the same guy who... Yeah, it was the Hecate as well that just randomly showed up. It's not jungle, I can't tell, man. It's not jungle, never mind. I can just look at that.
Missing middle. Enemy missing middle.
Your middle tower is under attack.
Fucking Ares just running around.
Cancel that.
That's too bad.
Your middle tower is under attack.
Ultimate down.
Don't miss me too much.
Save yourself.
Your middle tower is under attack.
Got on my left.
An ally has been slain. Your middle tower is under attack.
Will darkness embrace you.
Now! No escape! Your left tower is under attack. Your left tower is under attack.
That, I don't think I could have done anything else against. Fuck, man. What is that? That's kind of cringe.
Enemy missing middle.
Your left tower is under attack.
Yeah, I'm just not close enough.
Gank left lane.
Enemies in right lane.
Enemy spotted.
On my way.
Be careful middle.
Always fall.
An enemy has been slain.
Let me hit the scales. Dark, deadly, and undeniably awesome.
Awesome.
Your right tower is under attack. An ally has been slain.
The eternal darkness embrace you.
An ally has been slain. An ally has been slain. Your middle tower is under attack. Your right tower is under attack.
Woohoo! Yay! So much enthusiasm.
Your right tower is under attack.
No problem. Awesome.
Good game.
Gank! Attack!
Enemy missing left.
Your left tower
Okay.
is under attack. Killing spree.
Okay. Good game.
Oh, darling, you're a sizzler, aren't you?
He screwed up the ult. Shouldn't even have been a kill, to be honest. Unless Nemesis could chase him down. Because I definitely wouldn't have been able to.
Your right tower is under attack.
Help! Help! Be careful, right! Enemies in the right jungle!
An ally has been slain. Double kill.
That's a bummer.
I don't know why the Morgan is so far up though.
Fun. Oh, you're serious.
Your right tower is under attack.
Yes, 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 yes. My style.
Killing spree.
Enemies in left lane.
I don't really know what to do this game, honestly. There's just no control in duo or mid, like,
So much enthusiasm.
Your middle tower is under attack.
and as a result, I just can't play the game now.
Your left tower has been destroyed.
And my beats were down. I'm actually not sure if my ult was down at the time.
Enemy missing left.
Attack!
An ally has been slain.
Okay.
An enemy has been slain. Killing spree. An ally has been slain. Your middle tower is under attack. Shut down.
So much
Your middle tower has been destroyed. Your middle tower is under attack. Your middle tower has been destroyed.
Retreat!
And I'm gone.
dark, deadly, and
I mean, we could just attack, you know? Like, running around spamming awesome and not doing anything is not really gonna do anything. We could just try and fight. That was a decent chance. They're fucking out of position as hell. Oh no, now we go in. Now we go in. I don't think there's a chance of winning this game.
You're the life of the party.
On my way.
Your middle phoenix is under attack. Shut down. Killing spree.
I guess
I'll be back.
I'm the one who's responsible now.
Your right tower is under attack. Your right tower is under attack.
Let the eternal darkness embrace. Let the eternal darkness embrace.
An ally has been slain.
I'll let my team decide if we surrender this one.
Later.
The enemy team has destroyed the Pyromancer. Your right tower is under attack.
Trash has your name on it.
An enemy
I
has been
guess
slain.
I thought that was their Thor,
disposable now.
but it was my Morgan.
Your middle phoenix is under attack.
I'm gonna vote no. I have very, very, very slight hope, but maybe it's just copium. It's copium. I regret saying no.
Too
My
bad.
bad, team.
So sad.
The enemy team has destroyed the Gold Fury.
Enemy ultimate incoming.
I mean, I get that if April is triggered, but still. It is a little amusing to me. He is right, though.
Enemy missing left. Let the eternal darkness embrace.
Damn, I'm so ready for them to just all swarm me. Any moment. That sucks, man. They just sundered. Guess I should have waited with my burst on my ult.
Double kill.
Well, a shot. If we get that, we actually just kind of get a free pass to farm. If we don't get it, well, we're probably still losing, so.
Enemy tower.
Starting with a bang.
Your left tower has been destroyed.
There's no running from me.
Your left phoenix is under attack. Your left phoenix has been destroyed.
couldn't choose a target. Didn't really do enough damage to both of them. I wasn't really sure.
An ally has been slain. Rampage. Double kill.
Just dead anyway.
Triple kill. Killing spree.
I mean, to be fair, honestly not that bad of a fight, but April just refuses to play the game at this point, so doesn't matter.
Your middle phoenix is under attack.
Nowhere to hide.
I don't think he's wrong in what's happening in the events of the game, but giving up like this is just silly. It makes no sense.
Your middle phoenix has been destroyed.
Well, it makes little sense.
Nowhere to hide.
If you really don't want to play the game, you could also just leave. But at least he is farming, I guess.
The enemy team has destroyed the Gold Fury. An ally has been slain.
Trash has your name on it.
It's just on a beats. I didn't even realize Thor was in the air, because for some reason that skin is just silent.
Triple kill. Your Titan is under attack. An enemy has been slain. Quadra kill. Unstoppable.
Utter waste of highlight.
Oh well.
Your Titan is under attack.
Justice was served. By me, naturally.
Defeat.
Today has to be one of the weirdest Smite 2 streams I've done. Literally just nothing. Nothing is happening today. Like, every game is a new thing. Every game is a new experience today. What's this? Certified clean. Oh, it's from the market. I don't think Alex trolled on purpose. It might have just gone bad and then he tilted. I'm not sure. But I usually don't really see Alex tilt. He also did try to trade me. Maybe he just didn't want to spam. Whatever. I don't know. I don't know.
Select your god.
What does one even play in this meta now? I just don't want to play anything. Nothing works. I just go tank and AFK farm again. Maybe that's the play. Let's do a Emoji game. I actually forgot. Where did I get all my gems from? Well, unfortunate. Guess I will not be playing Yamoja into a Wheelix. Oh no, what a shame. I honestly just didn't know what to play. I'm burned out on the current meta. I want to play the game, that's the issue. I want to play the game, I just don't know what to play because I'm tired of it all. It's just the same. I want to play either new gods or I want to play like some of the, I guess, worse gods now. But maybe with different builds, I don't know. Whatever the case may be, it's just the same right now. I need something. No, man. No, 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 no. I see it. Get me out of this role. I'm support. I'll play if I have to. But damn, he went and called me a whale again. I need inspiration, guys. What do I play? I can't super troll pick because I am probably against good players. I can't just pick shit like Acne and expect it to go well. I do find Cerberus fun though, actually. I do want to say that. I do enjoy Cerberus a lot, but he does feel kind of weak. So as much as to enjoy him, I don't want to play him every game. I could do Hercules though. I actually haven't done Hercules in a little while. And Mulan is ass, otherwise I would like to play more Mulan. Sorry for my excessive bitching. I just can't help it. I'll do Hercules. It's not good into Bacchus. I guess, or on her for that matter, but I feel like playing it. I might be against Bacchus actually. Could be a bit annoying. If it's Aspect Bacchus, I might not actually be able to fight him. But at least it'll be a somewhat different fun lane, I guess. Could also just be Finn rare, but I don't think that's much of a... That's just a stalemate matchup. Early on, anyway. Yeah, I guess it's Bacchus I'm against. Haven't played Bell in a while. I've never really been the biggest Bellona player. I don't really enjoy her very much. But also she's not good at the moment. It's not really her tank items that are good right now. Like Mystical Mail, Pridwin type stuff isn't really the general Bellona items that you want to go with. Bluestone or Axe? I love Axe for later, but Bluestone, not having Bluestone early is gonna suck ass.
Especially delicious.
I also forgot Kali is next. I actually thought it was gonna be Guan Yu, and then Apollo. Did I think it was Apollo? I already forgot now. But no, Kali, then Guan Yu, then Apollo, something like that.
Kill it out there. Hey, what's up?
He clears that shit so much faster with the AoE autos. I lost the creep, that sucks, man.
Your right tower is under attack. Enemy missing. Be careful.
Yeah, I mean, Kali with current items, specifically looking at Braggies and Kins, probably gonna be pretty good, I would imagine. I can't imagine her like that she's bad, at least. Imagine, yeah, Bluestone. Is to be expected.
Your middle tower is under attack. Double kill. Your left tower is under
Dual lane,
attack.
dual lane. That ain't looking good. Yeah, I mean, okay. Of course enemies are on right lane.
Under attack. Your right tower is under attack.
Lost the full wave for that. That's so annoying, man.
An ally has been slain. Your left tower is under attack. Double kill. Your middle tower is under attack. Your right tower is under attack.
I'm on my way.
Enemy spotted.
Stop right
Enemy missing left.
Thought that was gonna hit. Didn't think his brutalize was gonna be back
Your
up.
right tower is under attack.
No, I lost the full wave again, dude. I'm so behind in XP. I can't fight at all. I mean, good, I'm Hercules, but my god, what a depressing game.
Enemies have returned to base.
Yeah, I imagine Kali fits the meta very well, which is gonna be bad for me. Considering I'm a front line. Now I'm a target. But we'll see. I mean, she needs to be good too. And some of her bad matchups like Wheelix are already in the game, so we'll see.
Your left tower is under attack. Killing spree.
Enemy missing right. Cancel that.
Gank. Enemy ultimate down. Enemy spotted.
Your left tower is under attack.
Oh my god.
An enemy has been
The block is damage.
Your right tower is under attack. Your left tower is under attack. Your right tower is under attack. You have been slain. Your middle tower is under attack. Your right tower is under attack.
The dog's just throwing up in the background. Out with it. Yeah, they're okay. Cast up, it's just cast up. They're okay. He always looks at me like I don't want to throw up. Like he looks all sad. Like it's fine, just throw up if you need to. Can't really do much about it right now. I'll have to smell it during this game, which will be one hell of a debuff.
Enemy missing right.
I'm so far behind now after all that, and then I got the solo kill. Did a lot more damage than I expected.
Artemis missing left.
Enemy missing. Enemies in the left jungle.
Okay. Thanks.
Enemy missing right. Cancel that. Enemy spotted.
Gank middle lane. Ultimate is ready.
That helps me so much.
An ally has been slain.
Enemy ultimate down.
Your left tower is under attack. On my way. Gank! An ally has been slain. Double kill. Killing spree.
A surprising effort.
Your left tower is under attack. Your right tower is under attack.
Little sad I didn't get any other kills there. Not that I deserved any of them, I just needed them.
How Gank right lane. Enemy missing left.
You're going nowhere. Your middle tower is under attack.
On my way. Thanks.
The pyromancer has arrived.
I'm getting kind of dumpstered over here, so do not mind the
How Gank
help
middle lane.
on killing this raid boss Bacchus.
Enemy spotted.
Okay. Set up an ambush here. Ultimate is ready.
Enemy missing right. Enemy spotted. That was expensive.
I need magic protection item of some kind. I'm not sure which one would be good.
Okay.
An ally has been slain. Triple kill. Killing spree.
Good shit, bro. Well played.
Attack middle.
Your left tower is under attack. Beware the shooting stab.
On my way.
Your left tower is under attack.
No problem. Keep.
I'll attack. Okay.
Your team has destroyed the gold.
A surprising effort.
That's stupid pathing for me. For some reason I didn't expect them to come to me. After we got gold, like what would you be on the right side now?
Other beats, Artemis ult down.
Gank.
Shut down.
Good shit, boys.
Well. A surprising effort.
Only hunters might be really nice for me here. If I have to go for a magic protection item.
Is under attack.
Or maybe not. Maybe Honest just a Magi's Cloak into their team comp. Let's see, Artemis, Bacchus, Fenrir. Yeah, they have some instant CCs. I don't want to get hit by.
Enemy tower.
Whoops.
Your
Accidentally
right
slapped
tower
my
is
mouse.
under attack.
That's already down.
Enemy missile line in your tornado.
I'll gank right lane. Ultimate is down. Ultimate is ready.
Enemy spotted.
Enemies in left lane.
He took the blue.
Gank left lane. I'm on my way.
On my way.
Attack right lane. An enemy has been slain.
Apologize.
Double kill. Rampage.
Gank.
Start to be me right now.
He's just gonna TP. Yeah, I mean,
Be careful, right? Be careful.
Fenrir's here, Fenrir's here.
Stop right there. Hold together.
I've been on a world tour.
Enemies in the left jungle.
An enemy has been slain.
Well, a surprising effort.
Attack right lane. Your left tower.
What? Yeah, I'm just ass.
Your left tower has been destroyed.
Attack left lane.
Man, my Hercules is real fucking rusty.
Gank left lane.
Enemy spotted. Your left tower is under attack. Your middle tower is under attack.
Be careful.
Okay, my friend.
Interesting.
Looks
Seems kind of like a premature surrender, to be honest.
Victory.
I did literally nothing this game, man. I had maybe like one good rotation and that's it. It's kind of an unsatisfying game to end on, but... I mean, I had top damage, I guess. It's something. But that's just me and Nika slapping each other. We're both top damage in our team. Dude, these guys are so funny. Alright. Thank you guys for stopping by as usual. I really appreciate it. I'm gonna end it a bit early here, but I mean, it's still been 3 hours. I stream my usual-ish time. But it's getting hot. I kind of want to do something else. Today's been a bit weird, so I still had fun regardless, though. But thank you guys. I'll see you next time.